Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining me for another beer review. Hope you're all good. Right, the beer we got coming up now is another one from the free beer 52 box that I got back end of November stroke start of December. It's one of them offers they do, you know, send away for it, pay nothing for postage and what have you, and then try the beers, and hopefully they want to get your 30 quid a month for the beers. Did put mine on pause, so don't worry about it, though I will have to think about pausing it again soon. So this is one of the beers that I got from that, and it's from a brewery that I've only had a couple of beers from. I think I've only ever had a couple out of the supermarket, but I know I have brewed one because they've done a little bit of a partnership with Pinter, and I have brewed one on the Pinter. Now the brewery are out of New Zealand stroke Australia, although this isn't actually brewed for them. This has been brewed in the UK, and the brewery we are on about are Yeastie boys, and this is a can of their Dark Matter, and it is an Earl Grey black ale. Now I may have had one, two absolute max beers that have been sort of like Earl Grey tea sort of beers. Very little experience of them, or very little knowledge about them. So yeah, we're going to take a look at this. This is 5% in a 330ml can. Now, like I say, Yeastie boys out of New Zealand stroke Australia. It says on the back here, brewed and canned for Yeastie boys in the EU, imported to the UK by Beer 52. Nice simple artwork, and I do like that. I do like that. So yeah, I'm going to get this cracked open, slightly chilled. It's a black ale, you wouldn't want it particularly cold, but there is a slight chill on the can. So let's get this cracked open. Now, I don't have a Yeastie boys glass, but I'm going to put it in a Jeanette Belgian organic beer glass, because it's a straight glass, which for me should be great for a black ale. And I haven't used it for ever, and may well never use it again. Well, I probably will, because I'll probably do something silly like this. But this used to be on Perfect Draft. So yeah, let's crack on, get this cracked open, see what we get. And like I say, I hope you're all well. The weather is miserable. The weather is cold. The weather is dull. The weather is shit. It's all sorts of things, isn't it? But what it is, it ain't good. That's what it is. Let's get this poured, see what we get. So like I say, I've not had any real experience of Earl Grey tea. I've never even tried Earl Grey tea. But what I will say, the beer is looking very decent. The beer is looking very decent. What it tastes like, I don't know. But it's definitely looking like a dark ale. I'm going to leave it slightly low, because there is some still left in the can. So I want to be able to swirl it and what have you. But beer in a glass, there is just the slightest of shadows along the bottom of the glass where light is coming through, but very minimal. Very, I mean, it is dark. Is this saying a black ale? Black ale. All right, let's call it black then. I'm going to call it black. And we've got a lovely, slightly off-white, compact, creamy, sort of creamy head on top, but it does look very decent. Not really seeing any carbonation go up, not with my bad eyesight, but it does look good. So, does it tell you anything on the back? Not particularly. It says it's got water, malted barley, hops, Earl Grey tea, yeast, allergens containing gluten are shown in bold. So the malted barley is in bold and the gluten is in bold. So nothing else to tell you. But it looks good. Let's give it a swirl and let's have a sniff. I guess I should get some kind of earthiness from it, from this sort of like Earl Grey tea thing going on. There's definitely like a roasted malt subtle coffee note thing going on in there. It's definitely got little tickles of maybe sort of like a stout aroma. A tea note possibly. Yeah, there's probably a note of something that I would associate with tea. I wouldn't necessarily say it's Earl Grey tea. earthy sort of, how can I describe it? It's like being in the woods, sort of earthy, leafy tree kind of thing going on. I don't know, it's I feel like I'm getting sort of like a hoppy note in there of say something like a black IPA. But yeah, I mean, doesn't smell bad. It's got aromas there that are all sort of subtle, not whacking you in the chop sort of thing, but yeah, nice aromas. So I'm going to top the rest up, and we're going to give this a go and see what we get. Now, I do like a dark ale. Do I like the Earl Grey tea? Well, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. So let's dive in. Give the Yeastie boys Dark Matter Earl Grey Black Ale coming in at 5% a taste. Cheers. Does look fantastic in that glass, it's got to be said. Let's dive in. Definitely a little bit different. Bad different. Personal taste different. I don't know, it's a little bit, it's definitely different. It's definitely a little bit something I didn't know really what to expect. I'm getting notes of maybe a dark ale. I'm getting notes of maybe a tea note in there. I'm getting notes of something like the roasty stout side that you might pick up in some beers. Body is nice. I think that head is giving it a creaminess. It's maybe making it feel a little bit fuller. It's really, really smooth. It's not overcarbonated. It's got a beautiful mouthfeel. It's very soft. It's very pleasing on the palate, the softness and the mouthfeel of this beer. Carbonation is minimal, and I like that. The flavours are sort of subtle, inoffensive, but there's some flavours there that don't, I don't want to say they don't sit right with me, but they just taste different. And that is where I think my personal taste is coming into it, rather than this beer being really shit. It's very, very different sort of to anything I've sort of tasted, I'm going to say. The rest is in there. I mean, look at that. I mean, you can't knock it for how it looks. It looks a really well brewed beer. And there is nothing apart from my own personal taste of this beer that is bad about the beer. Very ale-like to start. Then you get that sort of roasty malt, maybe slight coffee, maybe stout porter-like. Both them styles very similar, so you will get sort of things that are going to be similar there. I'm going to say it's maybe more, I want to say it's more porterish, because them notes, although they are quite bold, they're not maybe stout bold, if you like. I'm trying to think if I'm still sort of getting a tea note, or whether that is wearing off a little bit. It's quite hard to suss it out and get that right, because like I say, very limited experience with sort of like Earl Grey tea or beers with tea in. But I think there is still that little bit of a tea element in there that gives it something. I think the beer has sort of toned down a bit. I don't think some of them flavours are as big as they felt to start off with, but I also don't think that's a bad thing, because they're not overpowering and they're quite sort of I don't know if I'm going to be going back on what I'm saying. It's nice that they sort of tone down a bit, because they don't feel so overpowering, so they're a little bit more easy to take in, if you like. I mean, it's a nice beer. It's a nice beer, but just a little bit different, and it's clearly a well-brewed beer. I can tell that this is a well-brewed beer. You can tell by looking at the beer, the way it's going down this glass. Everything seems to work really well, and it's been brewed well. But there are maybe some little notes that are just maybe just slightly different. But at the same time, nothing wrong with them. There's flavours in there. There's not a massive amount going on, but nor is there anything really offensive. It's definitely a black stroke dark ale. So them sort of elements of that stout sort of thing that I was thinking of to start off with, I think they are turning more towards sort of ale-like sort of flavours. Porter stroke ale rather than stout. Yeah, it's a pleasant beer. It's an odd one, because I am struggling with it, but at the same time I'm not enjoying it. It's one of them. I think it's maybe one that would grow on you. And I kind of guess if you're really into this sort of stuff, or into some of these styles of beers or certain flavours, this would be a really good beer. But for me, it's just a little bit different. So I'm not going to sit here and knock it. It's maybe something new to me in my palate. But I can't really knock it. I really can't knock it, to be honest. It's definitely just different. But definitely not minging, that's for sure. So Yeastie Boys and their Dark Matter. And their, bear with me, Earl Grey Black Ale. Yeah, I think that would be one that would grow on me more and more. But to suddenly drink it without having any idea about it, if you like, it's a little bit of a surprise. But yeah, I'd certainly recommend people try that, because there's enough there for me to think that's half decent. So yeah, Yeastie Boys, Dark Matter, Earl Grey, a Black Ale. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. It's just slightly different to me, and I can't knock it for that. If you've had this beer before, let me know your thoughts on it. If you've had lots of Earl Grey sort of tea beers, any advice, please feel free to comment and let me know. But yeah, that's an enjoyable little drop, it's got to be said. So thanks for watching. That's it for this one. Sorry for waffling on for so long. Enjoy your evening, and Basil, we'll see you again soon on another one. Cheers.